So just a brief overview of the process that we've been going through. And I know that you've heard myself and Lita ask repeatedly if you have any standards or rubrics or assessments or any activities that you contact us with those, because what's happening here on our side is all of the standards and rubrics and the assessments are being set up in the back end. And what that does is it allows OLS to then create a master program assessment for your SLOAs, and for accreditation purposes by using the information provided by you, the faculty. Then from that template, Lita and Rebecca and myself, we create an activity, and that activity gets deployed to certain sections. So if you're teaching 3 sections of MBA something, that activity will be deployed to all 3 of those sections. Where you as the instructors come in is you will be doing the one that is, you will be the one who is assigning that through Canvas, and it's through an external tool, very similar to how you set up your chalk and wire assignments. So let's get started with setting up assignments. It's pretty easy, and I'll walk you through it. This is where we will follow by having a short activity. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create that linkage in Canvas. It's pretty easy, same general process as I mentioned. You would go into an assignment. You're going to load this in a new tab, or you can, leave it unchecked if you'd like, to be right within the system itself. And then configure the external tool. You'll find Watermark SL and L in that menu that pops up when you install an external tool to a assignment, and then click Save and Publish. Once that's done, you want to go back to that assignment, and you're going to launch the activity in Watermark. So you want to make sure that you're clicking on specific activity. Otherwise, if you send them to the home page, they're not going to go to the assignment or the assessment that you have set up for them. You're going to select a course from the menu. So you may have a couple of different courses lined up there under Choose Group. And then you're going to select the activity that you'd like to assign to that particular course. And then you click Save. So I'm just going to walk you through that now. So let me get over to Canvas. So I'm going to go into one of my assignments. And let's create that assignment. I think I'm on like assignment 3 for today. You can put all of your directions for the assessment in here if you wish, or you can put them, or you can have us put them in Watermark so that when the student clicks into the Watermark assignment, they'll be there. And again, you're going to use that external tool. Go to the Find button. Our menu is getting very long. Watermark SLNL and select. You can load it in a new tab, or you can leave it unchecked, and then you're going to save and publish. Okay, well, it worked before. Let's go back and make sure that we're launching in a new tool or in a new window. Okay, so we're going to load in the new window, and it's going to bring you to that specific activity button that I mentioned. So you click on here. You click on whichever course or section that you would like to send this to. And if you have multiple, you can click on more than one. And then whatever activity it is that you would like them to do for that specific course, and click, and then go up to the upper right and select and save. And that's it. So that's how you set it up in Canvas and in Watermark. And again, if you have any questions, please ask Lita in the Q&A. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about like inside of Watermark, the tabs and the rubrics. There's a lot of different functions within Watermark. Some of you may or may not use them. Some of you might just use the linkage in Canvas, have students submit a file upload and never go back into Watermark again. And some of you might actually find that it's a useful tool that you want to use for more than just program assessment. So if so, we have a lot of different options within the tool. So first, we're going to talk about the timeline tab. This provides a place for documenting events. When an activity is assessed, the assessment is automatically added to a student's timeline. Students can also post other work, achievements, and events to the timeline, which will store and display them in chronological order. The timeline is private. However, timeline entries can be included in e-portfolios for sharing with specific people or with the public. In the past, most those e-portfolios have been for School of Education. But I think once we get into this, we can see how they have implications for other programs as well. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you now that I have gone too far in my show. I can't get to my, no, there we go. Let's go into Watermark. So this is the timeline tab. Once you log into Watermark, you'll end up on your in progress tab. The timeline tab is just underneath that. So to add something to the timeline, you would click on add to timeline. And these are the options that you have for adding to your timeline. There is no file size limit. So those of you who might have videos that are going in, it basically is, you know, not a limit. So you can go in and you can edit the description or upload a cover image for this particular timeline. And then you would just click save. So I'm just going to add an image very quickly. If I can find one. And it'll prompt you to put in your alt text. Then click save. And now that item is on your timeline. Put in your title. And then save. So now chronologically, you'll see all of the things that I've uploaded to my timeline are now here. Okay, so let's talk about the template tab. The template tab is found on an instructor's landing page. The template tab is used to create, edit, and view templates available to an instructor. Also in this list are templates that have been shared with an instructor by a student learning and licensure administrator, and that would be those of us in OLS. A template is a customizable interactive document that defines the requirements of a submission. A template acts as a container, providing a single document in which a student can enter text and images, respond to questions and tasks, attach files, and create links to their timeline or portfolio. It also includes any rubrics that will be used for assessment or grading. Every template has a specific workflow. The workflow type defines how and by whom the templates will be submitted and assessed. So let's go to those workflows. So the most common is your standard workflow, and this is where students will complete and submit a template, and the template is assessed by a supervisor. We also have option for a peer review workflow where students can complete and submit a template. The template is then randomly assigned for assessment to another student or peer. After peer assessment, the template is then assessed by a supervisor. The assisted assessment workflow, for those of us with a lisp, is very difficult to say. Students complete and submit a template. The template is then assessed by a third-party assessor or coordinator. After coordinator assessment, the template is assessed by a supervisor. We also have option of form submission workflow. So students will complete and submit a template. The assessment step is skipped, and the data from the student submission is available for reporting. Observational assessment workflow, the submission step is skipped, and the template is assessed by a supervisor. So that would be, you know, for oral presentations and such. The internship workflow, so this is, you know, something that would be used for student teaching or internships. Internships complete and, interns or student teachers complete and submit a template, and then the template is assessed by a supervisor or mentor. And then if there's an observation, the observational workflow for those internships, the submission step is skipped, and the template is assessed by a supervisor or mentor. And then finally, the internship form workflow, where the interns complete and submit a template, the assessment step is skipped, and the data from the student submission is available for reporting. So let's go into, why is it not letting me do? My mouse is not letting me go to the website. So I'm just going to keep going through the show. So the rubrics tab, if you'd like to use Watermark, like I said, for more than your program assessment, this is where you would build a rubric. SLNL provides the instructor with complete control over the content of a rubric, including performance levels, which are your columns, the elements, which are your rows, and their associated standards, descriptions, and point values. There we go. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you that templates, and then I will show you the rubrics. So as I mentioned, OLS has created templates. So when you will see these here, you can also create your own. So to create a template, you would just give it a title. And then those workflows that I mentioned, this is where you would choose the workflow. I'm just going to stay with the standard workflow just because it's easiest for right now. Click Next. And this is where you can actually build out your template. So these are the resources for your students, these 4. So you can give them some text, you can give them a video or some other kind of media, you can attach something, and that is the information that will be provided to the students. Then the next section that you would want to set up would be the submission input. And this is where you decide how it is that you want the student to actually submit to you. So the text area, a file upload. If you have them putting something on YouTube, you can pull from there, or there is a rich content editor. There are also options for different types of input from students. So questions, if you wanted to have like a quiz, you could have questions with a radio button, a drop down, or a checkbox. And then if you want the students to refer to something that they've built somewhere else in Watermark, like perhaps pull in something from their e-portfolio, they can do that here. And then you choose how you would like the assessment to be done. So you can use the rubric or scoring. Over here to the right, that's where the assessment panel will be. So when if you choose a rubric, so that's the person here, you can put a rubric in here that you'd like. And now when I go to score this, the rubric will pop up here. You can also, if you'd like, we've created a theme for all of the templates. I think the ones that we've deployed to you also will be using the St. Rose theme. You can take a template and convert it to an e-portfolio, and then you can preview what that template would look like. And then you click Save. And now that's a list of where your templates are. And so to build a rubric, you would go into the Rubrics tab, create your rubric. And you can add standards. So if you wanted to go and search the standards that you use frequently, again, if you're using this for more than just program assessment, you can choose from this list and click Save. Then you can go down here and you can create your rubric. So you can put the criteria, what those look like at each level, how many points if you'd like, and you can add multiple levels. Just a few notes about rubrics. Once a rubric is published, some attributes of the rubric become locked and can't be changed. Those locked attributes include the number of performance levels, the number of elements, point values, associated standards and outcomes, and previously aligned met and not met values. While associated standards and outcomes cannot be deleted, additional standards can be added at any time. Unassigned met and not met values may be assigned after publishing. Okay, so the In Progress tab. After logging into SLNL, the instructor's landing page will display, and the In Progress tab will be the one that's shown. The In Progress tab will list all of the instructor's active sections. Each individual section, for each individual section, submitted activities that are ready for assessment will be listed with the section information. Clicking on an individual section will display the section details page. The section details screen allows an instructor to view, create, and manage activities. The section details screen has 4 tabs: Activities, Homepage, Students, and Scores. Today, we'll really just discuss Activities tab and the Homepage tab today. Oh, man. doing it again. Sorry about that, folks. The Activity tab. When the section details page is displayed, the Activities tab is selected by default. The Activities tab displays all activities in the section, as well as the details and assessment status of each activity. Additionally, a new activity can be created from the Activities tab. Activities are fundamental components of a section. Activities can also be thought of as assignments and are tasks that are completed by students, often followed by an assessment of the student's work. Activities contain a template which specifically defines the requirements of the activity and includes any rubrics used for assessment. So let's get out of the rubric, discard that. And I'm going to go back to my in progress. And you'll notice that I have two sections that I'm in. So I'm just going to click on the Licensure test section where I'm the instructor. And you'll see those 4 tabs that I mentioned: activities, homepage, members, and scores. So you can create an activity by using this button in the upper right, where you would give it a title. And you would attach one of those templates. So let's do the practice template. You want to make sure that you're selecting student from that student dropdown, or else it won't let you save or publish. And this is where you'll mark if you want something to sync up to the Canvas gradebook. So if this isn't going to be graded, then I would leave this blank. But if you do want to take a grade on something, this is where you would click and it will be synced up with the Canvas gradebook. In the distribution details section, this is where you can set visibility and submission dates, as well as a due date. And once you've got that set up, you click publish. And now that template has been attached to this activity. And that activity can now be assigned to your students through Canvas. So let's go into an activity, because now I'm going to show you the activity details page. This is the activity details page, and you'll see that I only have one student in here, Rebecca, and she is awaiting submission. So she has not yet submitted anything. The other options you'll see would be awaiting assessment, which means it's been submitted and is just waiting for me to go in and grade it. And then once everything is complete, the assessment is done, then it would show up here and done. I just went over that with you, and I went over that with you. Now we're going to talk about that homepage tab. On the section details screen, selecting the homepage tab allows an instructor to view the section homepage. A homepage is a special type of template that is tied directly to a section. It can provide information and resources about the section to students. A homepage can be included by an administrator when creating the section and/or created or edited by an instructor. Let's talk about, if I could get back to where I wanted to get in the with my browser. There we go. So let's go to the homepage tab. And this is where you can just craft a homepage for students to go to. I want to edit. You'll see that these are the options you have to add to your homepage. And you can add multiple pages. Okay, close that, because Lita's got that set up already. All right, so now we're going to go over how to assess student work. On the activity details page, you saw that a student is listed in the awaiting submission column. They've not yet submitted. The awaiting assessment column shows students that have submitted work but have not yet been assessed by an instructor. The done column indicates that the assessment is complete. A couple of different options you have available to you would be to force submit submissions. Instructors can move all student submissions forward in the assessment process without requiring students to submit by using the force submit option. The force submit option will move all submissions into the awaiting assessment column at one time. This is often used when an assessment will take place, but there is no student submission, such as an oral presentation. So to move all submissions to the awaiting assessment, you would use that force submit. There is also the option of rollback submissions. The rollback option allows an instructor to move all student submissions backwards in the assessment process at one time. The options for rollback are based on the status of the submission. If submissions have an awaiting assessment status, rollback will move all the submissions back to the awaiting submission column. This is used to require all students to resubmit an activity. If submissions have been assessed and so have a done status, rollback allows an instructor to move the submissions back to either awaiting assessment or all the way back to awaiting submission. This can be used to require all students to resubmit or to allow assessors to reassess submissions. So here, oh, it let me do it this time. That's fantastic. So I'm going to go back into in progress. I'm going to click on my activity, and this is where I'm going to go in to see the details for activity 1. And you'll see that Rebecca is here. She hasn't handed anything yet. I'm going to force her to submit that. And what that does is now it's moved her submission into awaiting assessment. To get to her assessment, I would go here, and this is where I would see what the student submitted and any rubrics that I have put attached to this particular activity. To add comments, you simply highlight and put a comment in here, and that will be sent to the student as well. If you want to bump it back to the student for a revision, you have that option here, as well as how many times this has been submitted, all of the different versions. And now we can submit. Oops, we have to score it first. We'll go with 10 points. And we'll go with 25 points. Here's the questions that I had mentioned before. And the drop down. So we'll go with 1 point for that. 5 for that. 5 for that. Now I can submit since everything's been graded. So now everything has moved over into the done column. Okay, so let me go back. I've got one more. So the assessment page. The assessment page has the assessment panel that occupies that right side of the assessment page. The assessment panel contains several components that are useful in assessing a submission, including any rubrics to be scored, a feedback text box for responding to a student, and a scoring field. So I think I had a rubric on one of these. Maybe this one. Of course, it'll be the last one I click. Or not.
Jen, I think it was the sample number 2 activity that had the rubric.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I saw it in the pop-up there. Yeah, so sample rubric.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so the student has completed. Obviously, I am on the struggle bus this afternoon, and the file was not uploaded. So that second page is blank. So I want to go in and I grade, and basically I would just click in here to grade the student and then click save. I've already graded this one, so I would undo if I wanted to regrade it. You'll notice that I do have everything aligned to the standards and the template that was used. So all of that information is going to be available to you when you open up that activity details page. And then finally, there are some really good reports that can come out of using Watermark SLNL. So when student submissions to an activity are assessed by the scoring rubrics, those scores are made part of an activity assessment report. Instructors can view the report by clicking the assessment results button located in the activity page on the details page. And then the assessment results report contains 2 views. The per student view shows rubric scoring for each student individually, and the aggregated result view shows the total number of times a rubric element was scored at a specific performance level, as well as any statistical calculations. Both views provide a drill down capability, and both views can be exported as a CSV file or a PDF. And I don't believe I don't have students, so I don't have any reports to share with you, but this is what they would look like, the student report and the aggregated report. And so because I don't have students, I've actually put a video in here that shows you the assessment process. So I'm going to click play, and this will be the last slide in our webinar. Please don't leave yet, because the very last slide will actually have a link to our evaluation. And we really like it when you fill out evaluations, so we know what to improve. So thank you. And not over on the right page.
Hello, and welcome to Student Learning and Licensure by Watermark, or SLL. This tutorial video will focus on activity assessment by faculty members. As faculty, mentors, or supervisors log into SLL, they will land on the In Progress or Home page. Along the left side, you will see several icons. The activities submitted by students can be found on the In Progress page. Here, all the sections faculty, supervisors, or mentors are connected with will be listed. These can also be filtered by term, course type, or start date. Notifications for newly submitted activities to be assessed can be found under the course section, or will also be listed under the bell notification icon in the top right corner. Clicking on the notification listed beneath the section, here you will see a list of students within the section and their current status of the activity, awaiting submission, awaiting assessment, or done. For this particular example, this is an observation activity. Students are not responsible to submit any work, but are being observed and then assessed by faculty. Clicking on a student, if there is work that the student would have completed for assessment, it would be visible and available here. Again, this particular example is an observation activity and students have not submitted any work. Along the right side of the screen is an assessment panel. This is where faculty will find the rubric needed to be completed for assessment of the student. By hovering over the rubric, it is possible to see some information regarding the elements of the rubric. Also, by clicking View Rubric Details, the purple link found above, this opens the rubric within another window, allowing assessors to see all details within the rubric, as well as the option to leave line item or element-specific feedback. Simply click to select the desired level. When done assessing, simply click Submit and move the status of the activity to Done. A timestamp of who completed the assessment and when it was completed is visible to students. Thank you for watching this video tutorial about assessing students.
So that is the webinar for today. We will let you unmute at this time if you have any questions that you would like to ask for us. I know we booked 90 minutes. We weren't sure exactly how long this would take. So good news, it's not 90 minutes. So let's see if we can get you unmuted. I think everybody is allowed to talk now. If you're still having trouble, let us know.
But don't talk at the same time.
Yeah, not everybody jump at once. So does anybody have any questions?
Hi, this is Dave Rice. I have a question about the rubrics.
Sure.
I just was wondering, it seemed like you were setting it up, and I hope I didn't miss something, but would the faculty have more control in just sort of changing the rubrics, or if we say we revise the rubric one year, if we want to change the criteria, would we be able to go and do that ourselves and not have to bother you with it?
Good question, Dave. We've talked about that. And basically what we're going to do is once we get everything set up the way that, it should be set up in the front end of this whole project, then what we were thinking about doing was giving the rights to do that to department chairs each year, each academic year. So obviously that would be rotating. We'd have to remove admin access for, 1 year, and then the next year, somebody else would have it. That said, the person who is the department chair would have to go through a short training with us as to, how to run those reports, how to update those rubrics, etc.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
The reason we want to make sure that the rubrics aren't played around with too much is once assessments start coming in for those rubrics, we can no longer unpublish them. If there's no assessments, then we can unpublish them. But when a rubric is published and there are assessments attached to it, so if there are student submissions, we can only archive it. So if there are changes that need to be made, have somebody reach out to us in the meantime.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So Francis is asking, when will we have access to the rubrics that are not yet published? Lita, do you know?
Depends on the rubric. So we have some that we're still aligning to specific standards, and we have to see if those requirements are met, not met, so on and so forth. So if there is a specific rubric that you need for the summer, please let us know and we'll get that published as soon as possible.
Yeah, I do have a rubric that I'm using for a summer course. It's SED 590. Do you want me to email you separately?
Actually, I know Rebecca was working on that one yesterday, so that should be ready within the week or so.
Awesome, thanks.
Any other questions? I hope that you found the experience in the tool a little bit easier to use. And I think that you'll really enjoy the actual reports. And the fact that, somebody on your department will be able to pull those reports, and you'll be able to pull your own reports as well for your individual courses. You won't. So the department chairs obviously could see across the department, whereas each of you as an instructor would be able to pull reports for just your courses. And if you don't have any other questions, Lita and I want to say thank you. We'll see you soon. If you have any questions, please make sure you email us at onlinelearning@strohs.edu.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Deb, I saw that you have changes for rubrics for summer courses. I think you should be able to unmute if you just want to unmute really quick.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, I can actually, I was gonna do the video, forget it.
No worries.
Yeah.